Hello, and welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. As a reminder, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, you can chat with us live on the Facebook event page or follow us along in the chat running alongside this YouTube video. So we have a skeleton crew tonight. But as for introductions, my name is John Ruark. I'm a past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. And who do we have next? Let's go to Robert. Good evening, Robert. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing okay. I'm hanging out in my home office as I do, I don't know, most of the day it seems these days,
All the time.
especially working from home. Yeah. Yep. Thanks.
Well, cool. Good seeing you. And last but not least, Jason Richards. How are you?
I'm good. This is going to be my home office when I start teleworking probably very soon. I'm past
Mm-hmm.
master of Vacation Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in Washington, D.C.
And if you're not a patron yet, we appreciate your support. So if you go over to patreon.com/slash the Masonic Roundtable, you can help keep the show running and free Masonic education going on for years, which is important when we talk about tonight's episode, because tonight's episode is all about TMR, the coronavirus edition. Right. In case you haven't heard, there's this big deal going around right now, and it it seems like not only the whole world has lost its mind, rightfully so, but so is Masonry. Right, Masonry is a microcosm of the society we live in, and um, while we try to hold ourselves to a greater standard, we too have to take into considerations all of the restrictions for the good and betterment of society by containing ourselves uh, from spreading this awful virus that's traveling around the world. So, just in the past week, a lot has changed. We mentioned it a little bit last week, but now we're really starting to see economical impacts here in the United States. It's been bad in places like Italy, but tonight we wanted to focus on, well, if we're all quarantined at home, how am I going to get my masonry? That's the big question. Um, Most Grand Lodges at this point have come out with official edicts stating that all Masonic communication is banned, is prohibited for a variety of lengths of time, but usually on the order of a couple months. It's to protect us from really infecting each other, and so it's a very prudent move. It's one that's recommended by the CDC and all these other agencies, and yet the natural response to especially the connected, plugged in brothers are, well, well, now what do I do? So to fill this gap, uh, we're going to just kind of go around robin a little bit tonight and talk about some opportunities that you have as a Mason to get and grow your Masonic education while you're at home, while you're quarantined, where you don't even have to physically talk to another brother, but it doesn't mean you can't talk to other brothers. And so tonight we'll just kick around some ideas. And without further ado, let's go over to Jason for his first idea of what we can do to get ourselves some education during this quarantine.
All right. First thing I've noticed over the past couple weeks is there's been a lot more emphasis on brethren stepping up and trying to get Masonic education online and connect with their brothers online, which I think is awesome. So we have the Kansas Lodge of Research, the KSLOR, which has been doing this for quite some time, having virtual presentations over teleconferencing software. And they just stood up the North Carolina Masonic Research Society, which is doing programs hopefully weekly on Tuesday nights over Zoom as well. So if you go to Facebook and look up NC Masonic Research Society, you can find that group. Brother Matt Parker is heading that up, and I'll actually be speaking there virtually, at least over Zoom, on Tuesday at 7. So I think it's really, really awesome that brethren are still getting together for Masonic education, at least untiled Masonic education, and that kind of has revolutionized and kicked off within the past couple weeks in a number of cases. So that's one of the first ways that you can actually stay engaged, is just using some of these teleconferencing platforms to have speakers and just hang out with brothers virtually.
So is there one in particular you want to start with to mention? Because people may want to look for it. So let's find a way to get people connected to that. Do you have the details at the ready of one of them?
I do. So there's so if you go onto the Facebook page, like I mentioned, and search for NC Masonic Research Society, you can join the group there, and they are trying to have educational programs every week. Just over Zoom, completely untiled. They'll send you an invite, and literally Zoom is just a teleconferencing platform. They'll send you a URL, and all you have to do is click on the URL, and you'll put in some registration information, and they'll once they approve you, you just click on that link, and it'll come up on your computer without you having really to do anything about it. So it's really easy, even for folks who are a little technologically challenged. So
Easy peasy.
the other group that does this that I know of is the Kansas Lodge of Research, or the KSLOR, and you can find them on Facebook as well.
KSLOR. Got it. Um, so I'll go next and mention that one thing that I'm very passionate about. I've said it year after year, especially in my kind of New Year's resolutions episodes, is that now is the perfect opportunity to write that darn Masonic presentation, that paper you've been thinking about doing, that you've been putting off for a rainy day. Well, this is the next best thing. If you have to be at home, um, now's the time to dust off the books, to dust off the internet, to pick up the phone and start calling well informed brethren, and actually put down your thoughts on the paper, and get a rough draft out. It doesn't need to be perfect, but you have the time now. And so it's an opportunity that shouldn't be passed up, right? When they say opportunity knocks, you have to take it. And so I'm really passionate about this. It's something that I think everyone should do at least once a year, to form a new presentation with some independent research. Um, and, we'll talk about some other resources you can use. But it's certainly something where if you're not commuting, um, even if you have a short commute, you've easily got a half hour a day back now. And so um, imagine a half an hour a day over weeks at a time that can add up to a really cool research paper. And then you can turn it into a presentation, and then you can turn it into whatever. So that is absolutely something you should do while shut in during this pandemic.
Totally.
Totally. Robert, what are your thoughts? Unmute yourself.
I am not muted.
There you
You
go.
were. You were. I'm sorry.
I
Gotcha.
wasn't on my end.
Yeah, you
Anyway,
were on my end, and I'm not sure why.
Oh,
okay. Well, anyway, I think you guys are both correct. Just like masonry, in-person masonry, it takes different strokes for different folks. So I would just stress the fact that this provides a really rare opportunity, um, for the Mason to be Masonic. And what I mean by that is not just listening to all the great resources out there like the Masonic Roundtable, Whence Came You, the Winding Stairs, all of these great podcasts out there. There's so many of these wonderful resources in addition to to podcasts. There's Matsol, MATSOL info. Tyler's Place podcast. We have the Master Craftsman program. Direction from the Scottish Rite Southern Jurisdiction is they're pushing the idea of virtual study meetings. This is prime opportunity to come together in a way that focuses energy. That's not like, even when you typically will meet for, let's say, a Master Craftsman meeting, there's a lot of banter between brothers. Sometimes people aren't always paying attention. And one advantage of being virtual is there's a lot more paying attention that's going on. And if somebody's being distracting with their phone, at least you can't see it. um, so you have this added benefit, right? There's more focus. Um, in addition to the Master Craftsman program, the Northern Jurisdictions program is out there, the Hout Grid Academy. Um, you have the time now to take that little bit of an extra step and focus on something. Something I'm doing in my day to day now is I've picked back up on learning another language again, something that I just haven't been able to do. We're finding more time to focus on you, bettering you, the individual. Um, and I would just say that uh, this is a real, this is like a focus on the mission. It allows us to actually do that, to focus on Freemasonry. This is not um, vacation time, as we would sometimes people are thinking about this idea of, oh, lodges are closed. What is that? What does that mean? What does that mean for us? And this one comment I saw on Freemason on an article that was posted was, this guy said, here's the big point in relation to these lodges closing. He said he's sensing a lot of grumpy, foot dragging brothers leaping at the incidental necessity of closures because it serves a lot of indecision and, frankly, laziness. And so, what I think that says is this is a prime opportunity to practice Freemasonry for real. So all the Grand Lodges closed out, they closed down, and they're stopping meetings, and that's because the administration club is shut down. And all of the Grand Lodge communications I'm seeing that come out after they say, "Oh, we're closing down," they say, "Hey, we're don't forget your Masonic duty. There's a lot of people in need out there today. Let's focus on the charity." And that tells you exactly what the rank and file dude is about in a tangible way. And that's not practicing Freemasonry in terms of bettering the man. So in this time, it's a rare opportunity for you to focus on you. And I just want to make sure I said that at some point in the show.
You know what I got out of that? So I'm picturing the meme of the guy who's tapping his temple. It says, "You can't ban skulls and masonry if Grand Lodge is shut down."
Maybe. Yeah.
Now, innovate all the things. Let's go. Now's our time. Because the grand lines aren't going to come out and congregate in one large mass to try and stop it.
Well, so you guys opened the discussion and you started talking about these virtual meetings. And let's pull that thread, because there's no Grand Lodge out there right now that decided, oh, we're shutting down all the meetings. What can we do for brothers in the meantime? Aside from offering them a link to donate to a charity, what are they providing? Now look around on the internet and look at all of the brothers who are coming together to provide something.
A lot of
I know
things.
Juan's got something up that way,
Hmm.
but he just joined, so I'll give him a minute.
Good evening,
There
brothers.
you are.
How are you?
Good.
Great.
Welcome.
My apologies. I had completely disconnected everything. My phone ran out of batteries, and I plugged it in. And because everyone is up so late, I thought it was much earlier than it really is. And
I
when I
almost
looked
had
at the
that
clock, I'm like, oh
panic
no.
attack.
Oh my god, I hate that feeling. Um, but yeah, so I was listening as I logged in. I do appreciate the fact that there are so many brothers out there who are putting an effort to provide digital access to Masonic things in order to basically bridge this gap right now. It's like so many brothers are disconnected. Has to be such a shock to the system. You go into meetings. Some of the brothers I know, they go to meetings almost every single day of the week, and cutting that completely cold has to be a terrible feeling.
There's a great meme that's been making its way around the interwebs. It says something like, "This is day 3 of no lodge meetings, and I keep seeing this strange woman next to me." It's the guy's wife.
She seems nice.
Yeah, she seems nice. All right, John, back up to you.
Okay, so I'm going to pull the thread a little bit on reading too. Um, doing research for a paper is one thing, but I'm just as guilty as everyone else, so I'm going to own it. We've talked about your pile of books that you haven't read, and there are a few, some of these rather thick ones in the back here, that I have not gone all the way completely through. The great reference material. Look at that one that Jason's got there, right? So, um,
Here's the bookmark
I have
at
a
the
white
beginning of
reading.
the book.
You're almost there, Jason. You can do it.
Yes, I've almost gotten past the introduction.
But
He started
as
backwards.
oh, good job. And yet, again, a little bit every day. We don't know how long this virus is going to last. So why not just start chipping away at something on a regular basis? Just take that 15, 20 minutes a day, right? Don't make it a marathon, not a sprint. No need to just push off through it and burn out. But dip a little bit every day. And the next thing you know, this tome that you've been wanting to accomplish one day, this big goal of knowledge that you want to sip from the cup. You don't want to chug it. You just want to sip from it. Things like morals and dogma. That is not something you just pound through in an afternoon and then hope to, one, get it all, and two, just be able to figure out how to apply it. So um, now is a perfect opportunity to pick up that book that you've been wanting to get to. And now, um, if you don't have a library like this, the good news is just because the lodge meetings are canceled, that doesn't mean that you don't have access to your lodge, right? So if you can get in touch with an officer of your lodge probably has a library of some sort. Again, that they're yours for the borrowing. Get an officer to let you in, get to that library, check out that book you've always wanted to read, and um, it's a resource that's probably available that you said I'll get to it one day, and here we are. Here's one day. Mm-hmm.
And if I may offer some suggestion to the brothers that would be picking up some of those books or reacquainting themselves with some of the books they've had sitting on the shelf, if you can schedule it so that you have that intentional part of your day where you're spending reading, you'll do better. Especially if you don't have the consistency of reading every day for whatever reason, finding a place in your day to schedule it would be ideal. Now, some brothers, I personally have uh, it's an unwritten rule that right before, um, if it's right before bedtime, the books that I will delve into cannot be related to things that I can apply to. So, for example, if your excuse me, if your study is about lodge leadership, or something that is for a practical application, perhaps that's something that you will assimilate better during the day. Uh, but history is one of those things that would be a perfect topic for you to dig into at night. That's what I do, because I don't want my mind racing right before I go to bed, and I have my mind just like thinking of all the ways in which I can apply what I just learned. I rather have that fresh, um, that feeling of like, oh wow, I can't believe that this happened right after this happened. And then I start finding, okay, let me search on other books to see what else was happening at that time that will inform basically the background of what was happening in masonry in this year. So history is a great thing to study at night, and things that are more practical to apply or for leadership during the day some will be a better way. But that's what works for me. You do whatever you want to do.
So while we're on the topic of reading, I know we're probably going to beat this horse to death tonight, but history's great. I love everything about history. Maybe you might want to think about taking some time while you've got some time and read something that's really going to take you out of your comfort zone. So for
Ooh,
me,
good, good call.
I could read history all day long. Um, for me, I'm very comfortable with history, but I'm not nearly as comfortable with esoterics. So one of the things that I'm working on reading over the next couple weeks is the book I held up earlier. It's a book by Robert Place called The Tarot, Magic, Alchemy, Hermeticism, and Neoplatonism, second edition. And so I've been interested in just the history of the tarot and how it came to be this mystical artifact that folks ascribe to it today from just really being a deck of playing cards. So that's one of the things that I'm doing is getting a little bit more into esoterics by merging kind of esoteric philosophy with the history of the artifacts. So it's one thing that's really outside of my comfort zone. I don't understand most of what I'm reading, but it's interesting nonetheless. And I'd encourage brethren, if you keep finding yourself going back to the same thing time after time after time, um, try something different. You might like it. What about you, Robert
My recommend
or John?
well, my recommendation for you, Jason, is keep reading, keep pushing through, because you'll make connections later the further down you read some of those books. So it's not going to make sense the first or third or fifth time you read it, but eventually it's going to snap. You're like, oh my gosh.
As will I.
So yes, that's when you go legally insane, and we'll find a nice comfy jacket you can wear where you can hug yourself all day.
Yeah, I like. It's the only way I could get a hug during the coronavirus scare.
You are your best friend.
Oh.
All right, Juan. So we're talking about some other ideas of what brethren can do to better themselves, to join in the Masonic spirit while we're quarantined in our own homes. And so I wanted to see if you had any other advice for the brethren.
And this is before the shameless plug, right?
Ha! Well, why not? Go right on ahead.
Okay. Well,
It's relevant.
I it is, yeah. As soon as I heard that Masonic events were starting to be canceled, and I started seeing some of the official communication from the Grand Lodges, I I thought I started thinking about the brothers that are now going to be disconnected from a physical contact with masonry, whether it's fellowship with the brothers or actually attending lodge, going through degrees, practicing. That's a big part of masonry for all of us. We look forward to the practices, the camaraderie that goes on in the practice, and then the solemnity of the degrees. And but we're very fortunate that we have access to so many different resources. Digitally alone, we have access to hundreds of books online, many of them that are beyond, what is that, that up into the public, like they've been published for so long. What is that called? On the public domain. And I started thinking about that, and I started looking at the resources that I have through the winding stairs and trying to find out what can I do to put together for the brothers to actually connect and continue that study and application of masonry. So I sat down with my wife and I was telling her, I feel weird right now, like putting some big promotion and, oh, buy this now and 50% here and the other. It felt kind of weird to me. I'm like, I don't want to do anything like that. I want, what can I give the brothers? And and we came up with the idea of putting one of the courses from the Applied Freemasonry program completely free. And for the next few months, brothers will have full access to the entire course, all the video lessons, all the documents, and everything that's part of it. Right now, it's for the next 2 months. You sign up for the course, and you have complete access to it. So, at your own pace, in the comfort of your own home, or on mobile, you can connect to the Life Balance program. And why did I chose that particular course? Because now more than ever, it would be super important for us to try to have balance in our life. So this particular course that I put out, you can find it on the windingstairs.com/life balance. It focuses on that, on helping you look at your life, make assessments of where you are dedicating your attention, and to try to bring balance to your life. So I started putting it together and doing all the behind the scenes starting maybe Sunday or Monday. And it is so complicated to put one of these things together. But I'm happy. I'm very happy with how it turned out. And it'll continue to get better. This is something that I continue to get feedback from brothers. Now we have a few hundred brothers that are part of the Apply Freemasonry uh, group. And if you've been thinking or waiting to be a part of the Apply Freemasonry, now is the time. And basically, it's a catalog of different lessons related to masonry, and there's video, audio, documents, spreadsheets, all kinds of geeky things for your geeky heart. So you can now's a good time to go check that out.
And you find that at
You go to thewindingstairs.com/life balance, or if you go to appliedfreemasonry.com, you can get details on it there. And it's a resource that I continue to expand. And now that I have more time here dedicated to working on it, I'll keep on expanding and making it more useful for the brothers.
right, Jason. What do you think? What else would you add?
So, who
So,
says you can't attend lodge while while everything's shut down? Because we've got two lodges that are fully regular in the list of lodges Masonic, one in Canada, one in Victoria, Australia, that both meet
Hmm.
online. And it's Castle Island
what?
Virtual Lodge, number 190, and the Endeavour Lodge in Australia. And so those are two lodges that you can go visit. Several of us, or actually, I think all of us have been to Castle Island multiple times, and it's a regular lodge in a tiled setting. They have safeguards and end-to-end encryption, and it's just a fantastic time, and it's a way to interact with your brothers and your friends, and and go to lodge and get some good Masonic education at the same time. So you don't have
Mhm.
to isolate yourself.
Yeah, and I want to add to that. So we've talked about Castle Island Virtual Lodge a couple times on the show here, and our good friend Nicholas Lane, um, I chatted with him. I said, hey, this is a great opportunity to have some resource for the brethren, right? That you can't miss this opportunity. And he says, okay, I'll see what I can do. And um, because we don't know how long this is going to be, and they take a long time between their meetings. Um, I said, is there anything you can do to kind of have a called communication, something that's not regular, but um, is kind of in between? And he looked into it, and he said what they offer up at Castle Island, they have basically two types of meetings. They have the regular stated tiled meetings, but then they also have another kind of meeting called the on the level meeting, and that's where they'll have education. That's where they'll have um, presentations and fellowship and the whole experience. But it won't be tiled, and it won't be uh, they won't open and close in the normal Masonic form. And so that can be done at any time, right? Because that's not an official meeting. It's something extra set aside for education. So they are going to have their next on the level meeting here at the end of the month, and I have to check my calendar here. But I think the invite just went out. But I believe it's March 27th, but don't quote me on that. I didn't put it on my calendar yet, so I'm gonna dig that up because I want to make sure that information gets out there. If you wanted to hop on that, it's just about a week or so away.
I
But
have not
that's
gotten that invite, Nicholas Lane.
oh, I mean, yeah, totally. Don't tell Jason. He wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to know.
Okay. It's
So
like,
so I'll go dig that up.
man, he's staying with me for Esotericon too.
Not anymore. He's not.
Congratulations, you sleep in the garage.
Yeah. All right, let me go look that up. Robert, what else can we do during these barren times?
Oh man. Well, there's a lot you can do. You can help out around the house. You can be a better dad by the time you're not at the meeting, being present, hanging out with your wife, like hanging out with your husband, doing whatever you want to do. Don't forget to live your life as meaningfully and as present as possible all the time. And this is just a point. Do you have if you're saying, well, look, I've locked in part of my existence is Monday nights. I leave the house at 6 p.m. and I don't come home till midnight, and that's my Masonic 6 hours or whatever. Okay. So lock yourself in a room and do some meditation work. I'll plug this. So over the course of a couple years, we really worked hard at putting together something nice and contemplative and in experience, but really aimed at activating your ability as a Mason to turn on these things within you to make you better in contemplating the symbols of the craft in a specific way in how to do that. And if you go to MasonicLegacySociety.com, there's a form you fill out. It'll automatically send you a document called The Art of Practicing Our Mysteries. And along with that, there'll be a 26-page guide that comes along with it. And it'll guide you through additional ways of doing some of the work. But this is a document that was created so that you could do it by yourself. And so that is something that's important in terms of, well, all the time, but especially right now, opportunity knocks, right? And it's the time to be able to focus on things that otherwise would have been filled with our excuses. Everybody has excuses. I'm not pointing fingers, right? Like I have my excuses too. I have the book on Charles Ledbetter sitting over there that I've had for a month and a half, and I'm only a third of the way through it, and I should be done with it by now. So just know that we have a lot of excuses in our lives, and as long as we're honest with ourselves, that those are the things that we want to do, that we're spending the time doing them. You will feel better about it too. You won't feel so guilty. But check out MasonicLegacySociety.com, and if you're looking for something else to do, I hate announcing things before I'm done with them. It's a cardinal rule. I never announce anything before it's done, but I'll do it tonight.
Until now.
Until now. Uh, so in the coming weeks, I'll be releasing a secondary podcast. It's called the Masonic Readers Podcast. It's basically seasons. It's a serial. Adam Thayer, worshipful brother Adam Thayer, and I got together and basically read a book together, and we recorded a chapter as an episode or a part as an episode, and you'll be able to read the book, one chapter, listen to the episode, read the chapter, listen to the episode, kind of do that. And the first book we did was we reached out to Chris Hodap and we did Laudable Pursuit. And what's nice about it is he left a free PDF version on the web for everybody. So if you want to pick up the PDF, it's there on the website right now. You can go check it out, MasonicReaders.com. And the actual episodes will be coming out soon. I'm just finishing mastering all that up, and I'll be putting it out in one big chunk, so you can just
Binge it.
listen to it. You can just binge it. Yep. And as far as seasons go, the next book, you can pick what next book we review. There's a little survey there that you can just click. And again, this is just a side project to be able to have an excuse to read and talk about it. So check it out. It's something else you can do. Listen, read, virtual book clubs on demand. Some insignificant trivia. We were going to be called the Masonic Book Club Podcast, but there's something else happening with that name, and we didn't want to step on anything happening. So keep your eyes peeled from some exciting announcements from some people that you all love. But other than that, that's really, I think, all I have to say about this quarantine time.
Well, so I'm going to pull that thread because you brought up a really good point. We've put an emphasis on books and reading and a lot of self-discovery. You can listen too. So if you have a library card or a library membership, a lot of libraries actually have free audiobooks that you can check out. And I'm trying to remember what the app is called. I've got it on my phone, but it's Libby.
It's like Overdrive or Libby or
Yeah.
Hoopla. There's a lot of different ones.
Yeah. So if you don't want to pay for Audible, or if you do, you can check those out. But you can also check out audible.com. I use Audible for all of the big books that I know I'm just never going to finish. I'm working my way through Graham Hancock's Underworld right now, and it's an amazing book, but it's 30 hours long, which means it's
His
like
books, they're so long.
it's like 1,000 pages. It's ridiculous.
It's like everything. Like, I immediately almost discredit anything that starts off with mainstream science says, and I'm like, oh my God. But the difference is with Graham is all of a sudden, here's 16 chapters on the science.
Yes.
And then I go, damn it, Graham. Yeah, it's fantastic. I haven't read that book. What's it about?
So it ties in really well with my study on worldwide flood mythologies, and so the main thesis so far in the book, I'm like maybe an eighth of the way through it, and I've listened to it for like 3 or 4 hours. The main thesis is there are these underground or these cities that are underwater that Graham has explored with divers off of like the coast of India and elsewhere, that were once cities of above the tide, And so he takes a look at geomorphology, or the study of topography in the coastlines, and is making the argument that these cities actually pre-existed the end of the last ice age, where the ice caps melted about 12,000 years ago, and the sea ended up, rising by several hundred meters to the point where it is today. And so he just talks about, it was like, 100 pages on like how he learned how to dive, and like he got these diving lessons with his wife and convinced her to do it. And then like you get past that, and it's like, again, three chapters of science and geomorphology and ice ages, and I'm like, this is just awesome. It's a really good book.
Yeah, to just plug Jason here for a second. The last time I've seen him do this presentation on floods 3 times now, and every time it's better and better and better. And this last time he started talking about geomorphology, and like, yeah, it blew my mind. I loved it. It was so great.
Yeah. Why does every culture in the world have a shared historical knowledge of some, or oral tradition of some catastrophic flood? Could that go back 12,000 years to the end of the last ice age?
No,
It's
it could not.
got it's got more credibility than Atlantis, but I talk about that too.
Hey. Okay.
Take that, Plato.
Let's I don't know, let's go back to one, because he almost overslept the
Oh my
TMR
God.
show tonight.
It's my biggest fear, and it happened today. Damn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so I
What
did
else do you
want
think?
to I want to touch up on what Jason was talking about, and I'm glad that you mentioned a book that wasn't strictly Masonic, and talking about the access to books and all of that through the library. I think that's a very, very important thing to bring up, because a Mason is not just a Mason in the topics of Masonry. A Mason is a Mason in all topics. How do you divide your time adequately in order to have a balanced life and to actually become a well-rounded individual? So going outside of the traditional, you Mackey and uh, Manly P. Hall, and you know all of these authors, that's great for us to have access to that, but there is so much more outside of Masonry that still makes a good man better. So it is important that we do that, and that we explore different areas. I find great joy in coming together with people and talking about other topics that are not related to Masonry, and that's we have an opportunity to do that now, which is funny because anytime, like, sometimes you have people posting something on one of the Masonic groups, and someone would ask, like, what's Masonic about this? It doesn't have to be Masonic. you know is it related to humanity, our effort to be better to one another, to be better, to improve upon the our brotherhood? Anyway, enough of
That's
that.
so funny that you say that, Juan. What's so Masonic about that topic? Everything. You can, everything is Masonic about everything because it is
Yep.
a way you're living your life. So everything you
Yep.
touch is necessarily Masonic.
Yep.
Experiencing the human
Absolutely.
Civic
condition.
engagement.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I love the comment that you made about living life intentionally. If I've had a few moments i- for the past week, we were supposed to go on vacation. So we were scheduled to, our kids are on spring break. So we were scheduled to leave Florida on Saturday. So we were supposed to be out all this week, and we had to cancel that, right? And at first, like, the kids were devastated that it happened. We had to have that conversation of, okay, this is something that we're part of a bigger team, and we can't be so upset that we are not getting something. We're doing this to protect other people. We're saying we're not having fun right now so that we can be responsible members of our community and help people live, not necessarily live a better life. We are doing this to help other people live. And I don't know how often, I don't know if you've noticed this, but at the beginning, let's say earlier last, towards the end of last week, you had a very big division whether people believed whether this was serious or not. Oh, this is just going to blow over. This is just like the common cold. They're blowing this out of proportion. Obama didn't do this. Obama did the other. Like it started taking a political flavor, and I got very concerned. I thought, oh my god, if this is the route we're taking, this is going to get way worse before it gets any better, because this is a biological phenomena, and we have better tools and knowledge today in order to deal with it. We need to focus on just that and forget about all these other things, right? So uh, I I started thinking this is going to become worse, but we have to live our life. There's a dual way of living it. I'm going to live the better version of my life within the confines of these restrictions, and I'm going to keep in mind that I am doing this to help the people in my community, to not expose people um, who are vulnerable. And I don't know if you touched on this uh, earlier in the conversation or not, but if you look at the demographics of
We're
our
not supposed to
lodges,
touch on anybody. Six
oh,
feet safe distance.
that's very true. Let's not touch up on it, anything. Uh, the, we have a large number of brothers who are of advanced age. And maybe if I get the virus, which I personally know people who have been diagnosed with it, uh, if I get it, maybe I'll be okay because I am a strong, handsome. Wait, that has nothing to do. I'm a strong, healthy, relatively young man. I don't have anything to worry about, right? But if I come in contact with a group of other people that are vulnerable, they would be fighting for their lives. Like the dichotomy of that is just so mind-boggling. So, you know, keeping that in mind, I think it's important. It's like we're not doing this just for ourselves. We're doing this for this greater community. And if we're present in it, which I love it, notice when the kids are out there playing, we see people riding their bike, or you, you see all these things that you haven't seen in a long time starting to happen again. We're playing board games with the family every night. I missed it this night, but that's shame on me. But anyway, so I think that's an important thing to for us to keep in mind. We're not doing this just for us. We're doing this for everybody. We're taking one for the team.
Another
Taking for the
important thing
team.
to keep in mind is that John and I shouldn't be logged into the YouTube chat under the same screen name.
Yeah, the Masonic Roundtable chat is like doubling up on people. It's kind of fascinating. Um,
Anyway,
so I wanted to end this one with kind of another thought that I had, and that is something that we do promote as Freemasons, and that is, um, be a strong supporter of your faith, right? And uh, we have this, the spring season now where we're coming up on, we're in Lent, we're coming up on Easter, we're coming up on Passover. Um, you know, take this time to reflect. Whether it be through meditation or whether it be through, spiritual practice. Double down on that too. You have the time now, and so just want to say that is something that is a worthy endeavor of every good man and Mason to make sure he knows where he's grounded. So definitely do that. With that, we have given you a ton of resources tonight. Many of them were just kind of off the top of the head. I did get the answer earlier about when the Castle Island Virtual Lodge on the level meeting will be. That will be Wednesday, March 25th at 8 to 10 Eastern. That's you speak on the 24th, don't you, Jason?
Uh, yes, yes,
So
the night before.
so you can have like back to back Mason stuff next week. So go check that out
Just
if you
like
want more
normal.
information. That's right. We're gonna fill up your whole Masonic calendar. Let's go. Let's do this thing. Um, I can just imagine, like, some Masonic widow. Is the joke is that he's never home, but he's now always downstairs on his computer in some Masonic event. She's a Masonic widow from 20 feet away.
It's okay.
Let's
I
get
She's
just
like
into
tell
gonna.
the
it.
wife I'm playing video games.
No,
She'll
she's
go.
gonna
Yes,
go
go
She'll.
play your
downstairs. She's gonna
peanut
check your
gallery
web.
upstairs.
She's gonna check your web history. She's gonna go to your search bar, thinking she's gonna find something naughty, and all it's gonna be
That's
is
right.
like Matt
Skype,
Saul,
Zoom.
Yeah,
Skype,
thislodge.com, that temple.com.
TMR. What is going on? Why can't you be into regular guy stuff?
Brethren, before I die, clear my internet search history. So, oh man. So with that, let's go around for shameless plugs, final thoughts, starting with Mr. Richards.
All right. Wow, this is a fun episode, and I think it accomplished exactly what we wanted it to, which was we just wanted to tell everybody that just because you can't go to meetings in person doesn't mean you can't reap the benefits of a Masonic experience. And so you have all of that and more at your fingertips. You can go to virtual education events. You can find great papers and great resources online. You can listen to podcasts and YouTube shows and Audible and get books from your local library. Or you can take a little bit of time to just work on yourself through religious practice, self discovery, meditation, and just being a good husband, boyfriend, brother, um, you name it. Masonry is all about, at its core, self
Right.
improvement. And you
But not all
have,
of those at the same time.
right, it's also
You don't want to
about,
be a good you don't want to be a good boyfriend and husband and brother all at the same time.
that's, wow.
I
Yeah,
ruined a good moment. I'm sorry.
that got dark really quickly. Um, yeah, so keep yourself busy and out of trouble and try to spend some time with your families as well. And 6 foot minimum safe distance. You know, just because the kids are home from school doesn't mean you should take them out and go museum hopping. Isolation means stay home. Back to you, John.
Cool. Let's go over to Juan for his previously stated shameless plug and final thoughts.
Yeah. So final thoughts. Be in the moment. There's a special peace and a special calm that comes with recognizing that there are things that we can control and there are things that we can't control, and to toil over the things that we can't control is a futile expenditure of energy. So the things that you can control, that you can positively impact, focus on those. Put more energy on the things that can really make a difference in your life and the life of the people around you. uh, think about taking this moment to hit reset. For a lot of you, this is a moment for you to make an assessment of the things that you're involved in, the things that complete your life, and for you to reorganize them. This is a great moment for that. So focus only on those things that you can change, and make sure that that change is one that you embrace with the best spirit possible, so that it can bear the most delectable fruit imaginable. And again, the importance of life balance. this is a great time, especially for those of you brothers who are working from home, that maybe you haven't worked from home in a while, or you've never worked from home, or that you don't work from home as often. This is very important for you to create a good equilibrium in your life. The time that you're going to spend for work, the time and attention you will give to your family, to your spirituality, to all these things. Be intentional about them. And if there is any way in which I can help, please let me know. Especially make sure that to go to thewindingstairs.com/life balance, and I will help you with at least 10 lessons, uh, 10 video lessons and audio that you can take at your own time to help you in a practical way. I don't give you fluff. I tell you exactly what I do and exactly what you can do in order to live a more balanced life. So I hope it helps you. I'll see you there. Thank you, brothers.
Sweet. Robert,
I'm not sure how to follow those two gentlemen up.
how about it?
I will say that all that is what I would recommend. You know, there's not much I can say other than to really reiterate that uh, it's very important, and also it's it's really important to remember that while we're here and saying that there is an equilibrium, or there is always an opportunity in dark times such as these, um, if somebody says there's a good in all situations, and that might come across insensitive to others at times who are having a really hard time with things. So just be mindful of that. I saw in the chat some people said it's a great time to check in on your older members or your members or whatever. And I totally agree. I ran down to my phone list today and I went through and I called all the members of my lodge and checked in on everybody. And I found out some crazy stuff that they're going through right now. And so just make sure we're keeping that line of communication open. Also, with the brothers that you talk to on the regular, or even guys you don't talk to, especially if you're part of those committees. Like, now's the time. You might not be doing much else besides hanging out on the phone. So keep that in mind. And with that, I would just ask you guys to once again check out MasonicLegacySociety.com. We've got a new episode of Whence Came You coming on Sunday. The new Masonic Readers podcast is coming out, and I took a poll on the Winding Stairs what next occult profile I should write would be, and so the next one I took a look at was Arthur Edward Waite. Everybody wanted to talk about Arthur Edward Waite, so I went ahead and I wrote about Arthur Edward Waite. That'll come out on Friday on Midnight Freemasons, so give you guys a little something to read, something to hate my guts about, or argue about, whatever. And so that's it, guys. I just want to thank you all for watching and for staying inside and doing your part to not damage the human race too much.
Yeah,
Thanks.
take it easy. Okay, over to me. Look, we also be remiss if we didn't mention that you have what 291 plus episodes of the Masonic Roundtable. You can go back and listen to.
Some
Cover
are
a
better
variety of
than
topics.
others.
Some are better than others. Usually, the ones without Jason are the better ones. Um, no, we have just a variety of topics. That's what's great about what we try to do here. You have what 436 episodes of Whence Came You podcast. We have dozens and dozens of ones from the Winding Stairs podcast. So, geez, you've got plenty to ingest while you sit there and wait for your degrees. We had some good conversation um, with a lot of brethren who were about to be initiated or just got initiated, and now their degrees are halted. You wait so much with so much anxiety and energy to join the fraternity, and then boom, pandemic happens, and you have to wait even longer. And so, as I try to say, patience becomes a virtue at that point. Um, but we're still here, and so are all the other resources we listed tonight. And we hope that you'll take advantage of each and every one of them. So that's all I've got. So I want to thank you all very much for watching week after week, and I want you to keep searching for more light. So have a good night.